good about myself. You guys are a great audience. You're going to see a fantastic improv show with these guys when they come out in a few minutes. A lot of your snow blasters, is that true? Yeah. That's it. Is it everybody? Not everybody, okay. Well, welcome snow blasters to Ephraim. You're excited.
Absolutely.
Good. When I first knew about Ephraim, I wondered what it meant. I don't know if you guys have heard, but Ephraim is actually an old Hebrew word that means Mormonville. So it's the kind of place where you can catch crap for going to Walmart on a Sunday night. Even if the point of your visit to Walmart is just to buy diapers so you don't have to catch crap at home. It is, that's where we live. A lady busted me on that one night when I went down there for my kids, and she says, "Don't you know the scriptures? You're not supposed to do that on Sunday." Didn't you know that? Didn't you know that? Didn't you know that? Didn't you know that? Look! I don't know all the scriptures. I just remember the one where the Lord requires a pure heart and clean hands. So I bought wet wipes as well, I'm sorry. Many times I'll be in a meeting and someone will stand up, a church meeting, and they'll say, "Brothers and sisters, we are under attack for the things we hold sacred." And I feel it's my civic duty to raise my hand and say, "I'm sorry, Sister Jones." No, we're not. We're just mocked, and that's okay. It means we're in the club, because in the United States, we roast out of love. You know the guy I'm talking about, right? Y'all's Mormons? Shoot. That means you ain't never tied one on. So you've got no idea what it's like to wake up on a park bench with no idea where your pants are. And I bet you got more than one wife as well. I wouldn't even commit to one chick. But y'all are living the musical, 7 brides for every brother. Now that guy's not attacking me. He's simply, well, that's love. And I know that because I kind of sort of do the same thing with other religions sometimes. Take the Nation of Islam, for example. I love that. But they've got this line of doctrine that says, "None of you is a true believer unless you wish for your neighbor what you wish for yourself." Totally explains the suicide bombing. But it does not explain why I used a Russian accent for it. I probably got that from the movie Habib Does Moscow, right? Maybe I'll try a different accent next time, you know? "Hey man, I'm a true believer too! I hope that Paco's daughter does not get pregnant until after the quinceañera." So I'll work on it, but we love them. And let's take another religion. Christians. I love them. Now, but there are some Christians that believe baptism is irrelevant to salvation. Fine. Believe whatever you want. But if you believe baptism is irrelevant, and you call yourself a Baptist, that's kind of like owning a vegan restaurant but running a steak and egg special on the weekends. I guess I would like my steak cooked rare, please. Oh no, medium is as far as we go. We are a vegan restaurant after all. Okay, medium then, and I'll have scrambled eggs and chocolate milk. Thanks, buddy. Then there's the General Church of Rome. I love that. And I know it's a sacred experience for like 1 billion people on this planet when they elect a new pope. But to the rest of us, it looks like they're blowing smoke out their chimney. And the reporting on site is constant. It's kind of annoying. Like, there's still black smoke coming from the papal conclave. There's no pope yet. Like, the white smoke's coming from the chimney. Now the world's totally popeful. I just wish one time purple smoke came out of the chimney. You know what that would mean, right? If there was a purple haze? It would mean the next pope would be Jimi Hendrix, who wrote Purple Haze. But with all the bigotry that exists in the world against left-handed guitar players, you couldn't do it. It would have to be his most natural alternate, Keith Richards, guitar player from the Rolling Stones, as the new pope.
Rolling Stones.
Stones, man. Which I believe would be the best press conference in history.
Yeah.
Keith Richards at the Pope walks out there and goes, "Right, stand by for some policy changes, yeah? Welcome, gents. My name's Keith. I used to play with Mick, and I'm the new Pope. First thing, I intend to keep my campaign promise to put a hookah lounge on every chapel in the world. Just know it's going to happen, and it's going to be smoking. Number two, who gets my refills around here? Is that you? All right, cheers, mate. Oh, make sure you get the cigars and Cubans for the after party. Rock and roll. Okay. I'm sorry, what? Sideways. Is that better? You know what? Just give it to one of the groupies. Next thing, popes like to talk about economics, as though we know what we're on about, so I'll opine as well. There's a gap growing between rich and poor. It's sad but predictable. It's got a little bit to do with math, with the rich getting richer, and a whole lot to do with biology, with the poor getting busy. So, and that's been our fault in the way. Come on in, come on. Name's Keith Richards. Nice to see you. I'm the new Pope. That's why this is funny. So there's a gap growing between rich and poor. And that's been our fault. So what we're going to do moving forward is take our policy on contraception, pull it off, wrap it in toilet tissue, and flush it down the loop. Last thing, these priests, doing the business with the little boys. I'm sorry, we're going to crucify them. I know that's a little brutal, but look in your history books. That's how Rome does it. And if think about it, if it's good enough for Peter and Jesus and Spartacus and Spartacus and Spartacus and Spartacus and Spartacus, crucifixion's good enough for a priest that's doing that. So we're going to nail them buggers up to the tree, and that will be the end of it. Some of you might feel bad. If you do, just go home and do like 7 Bloody Marys. All will be forgotten. Those are my notes. Rome wins. Who helps me find my pants? Is that you as well? Alright, cheers, mate. Keith Richards is the Pope, ladies and gentlemen. I told those jokes to a friend of mine, and he said, they're funny. But out of a sense of fair play, you should tell a Jewish joke as well. And I agree. It would be fair. But I still have a mortgage balance, and I don't want to offend the wrong people. Right? So I do that. And while we're on the topic of offense, I in no way at all mean any offense to Keith Richards or the Rolling Stones. I actually love music. It's a huge part of my life. And if you think about it, nothing changes human beings like music. I mean, think of the first time that Richard Simmons heard the song It's Raining Men, for example. He got up that morning and was like, "Oh, I love this song! I'm wearing shorty shorts for my workout tomorrow. I'm going to do it." Changed his life. And music can alter entire cultures. Think back to the Electric Slide, the Macarena, Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. It just can change everything. Or if you're probably not old enough for this, but Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus. If you don't know what we're talking about, that song it came in like a wrecking ball. And I believe 1,000 years from now, the historians will look back at our culture and the debate will rage. What was more offensive? Hannah Montana dancing naughty on national TV, or Billy Ray Cyrus wearing a mullet on national TV? I don't know. It's impossible to know. Now I'm a musician, a drummer, loosely called a musician, I guess. And to tell this story, I have to reveal a little bit. About 10 years ago, I was a drummer for a band that was a pretty big deal. And it came with some pros and cons. I mean, the groupies, every time we played, they would dance and sing, and that was awesome. It wasn't all, gumdrops and lollipops, though, because I just hated wearing the hats to march in the football games. That part wasn't that big of a... So there we were in Pet Band one day, and Dr. V pulls out the song, "Bang the Drum All Day" by Todd Rundgren. It's not a very well-known song, but as a drummer, the lyrics are some of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. The first 2 lines of the chorus tell the story. "I don't want to work. I just want to bang on the drum all day. I don't want to play. I just want to bang on the drum all day. Auditory cocaine, man. So I floated out of rehearsal on my drug high, and I was rudely brought back into reality by a phone call and an assignment given to me by my bishop. Now, time out. If you're not part of my tribe, I should explain. The bishop is the local congregational leader. He's kind of like the priest, or the rabbi, or the bartender, depending on the church you attend, you know? And I had what we call a calling. It's a job in the church. I was his secretary. So he calls me up and says, "You, girls' dorms, Carol, tonight, 7, click." He's a very orthodox Mormon. I don't think he even believes in the use of verbs. I'm not sure. So I knock on the door at the girls' dorms. They open up. 7 girls are on site, but none of them are Carol. I said, "Where's Carol?" "She's at a lab." "Oh." And they said, "Well, it's probably going to be hours before she comes back. It would be a better use of your time if you took off and came back later." And I agreed to that, but I hung out for a couple of hours. I mentioned there were 7 girls on site, right? 3 of them were worth the price of admission by themselves. So they're chatting, and they say, "While you're here, you should write something on our whiteboard." And I was like, "Is that what they're calling it now?" And rather than explain it to the slow drummer, they just showed me the whiteboard. And young men had come in and written fancy sayings on the board, and I read one of them, like, "Louis says that a diplomat is someone who can tell you to go to hell in such a way that you look forward to the trip." Like, I'm sorry, ladies, but I have met Louis. We take statistics together. He can't go an entire lecture without his finger going in his nose. I think he plagiarized that. You know what? I think I'm going to skip the whole competition, writing something fun on the board. I just want to do that. And then she says, "Well, it's okay to just write the first thing that comes to your mind." "Is that legal?" She says, "I don't know. Ignorance of the law is always a good excuse." She was pre-law. We'll let her. It's not a good excuse. They still write the ticket. Anyway, so I started writing the first thing that comes to my mind, and Carol came home. Efficiency. So I gave him the pen, just a minute, pulled Carol out in the hallway, did my best bishop impression. "You, bishops tonight, 7. Excellent." So we booked it. She took off. I came back into the apartment and tripped over the mic cord. And they're just laughing at me. No words, just laughing. And, my first thought is, great, my fly's down. So after a quick belt buckle check, everything was good. What's so funny? They pointed at the whiteboard. Now there I was, as a representative of the church, in my suit and tie, and I had written, "Brett says, I don't want to work, I just want to bang." That's not what I meant. It's true, that's not what I meant. And so they gave me the pen and said, "Do you want to finish?" And I said, "Yeah, if you'll let me." So I took the pen, and I made a split-second decision to finish the line. I said, "Brett says, I don't want to work, I just want to bang. See you in church next Sunday." I probably shouldn't have done that, but none of those girls missed church the rest of the semester. And the next week I got a new calling. That's the old win-win. That's a new job with people who know how to use verbs. There's no good way to transition from that story to this. I'm from near here, Mount Pleasant, just to the north. If you blink, you'll miss it. My father came to me a while back and said, "Brett, I want to run for mayor of Mount Pleasant." And I said, "You want to run for..." I hope it's not a long race because you get tired driving in a golf cart. And he says, "Watch it." And I said, "No, seriously, Dad, you are a pharmacist. You own a pharmacy. And a farmer on the side." Because Grandpa owned a farm. That says when you were 18, you were at career day and you thought, "What should I do for a living?" "I know, my dad raises cows. I'll assist him." And you check the box. And think about it. You make your money, farm assist. This is stupid fun. I'm sorry. So think about it, Dad. You make your money selling addictive chemicals and standing knee-deep in bovine fodder. I just don't think... Hold on, you're perfectly cut out for public service. How are you going to campaign? He says, "Bovine fodder is poop." Sorry about that. So he says, "Well, I think I'm going to dress up like Simba, and on the float play the song 'I Just Can't Wait to Be King' from The Lion King." Like, "Dad, I don't think that would work." He says, "Okay, well, I'll dress up like the Monopoly guy and play the same song. That would work." Like, "Dad, making what you make. If you were from Salt Lake, you would be average. In Beverly Hills, you'd be in the soup line. But here, you are Mitt Romney. You just won't win if you do that. And he says, what do you suggest? It's like, well, the first thing that came to mind is taking a page out of President Obama's book and dressing up like Santa Claus. That could work. And yeah, so you get the pennies in the bag, and you throw it out. Ho, 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 ho. And he says, whoa, 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 pennies? Why pennies? Well, isn't it obvious? Then you can say, oh, here's some change you can believe in. And then so he says, I like it. But it's summertime, it's 100 degrees, I don't want to wear the suit. Like, okay, noted. This is even better, and it costs you less money. You just get the flatbed truck, you go to the cattle ranch, and you stack up cow chips on the back of the bed, and then you drive through, well, you gotta bundle them into hay bales too. The drier the better, so you bundle them up, and you ride to the parade waiting. And he says, that's gonna cause people to question my sanity. Yeah, but then we've got a sign on the back of the flatbed that explains everything. He says, what will the sign say? Vote for Dave to be your mayor. The only guy in town who's got his stuff together. And he said, I don't like it. It sounds like BS to me. Exactly! And as long as you can recognize it, you'll be a good politician. Now, I'm sorry. I shouldn't do this. This isn't a professional. I haven't seen what time it was. It's 9:02. Showtime's in 20, so you get me for a few more. Now, you might be surprised to hear that I am married to one of the most beautiful women on this planet. She's a 10 in every way possible, and I'm obviously 7.5 to a 4. Depending on the angle, of course, because the angle matters when you have a weak jawline. I've actually been out with her many times, arm in arm, and then someone in our group will pull us aside and say, dude, escort service, huh? No, man, that's my wife. What? How long have you practiced voodoo? That's crazy. I don't. And it's like, okay. So you're worth what, $100 or $200 million? No, man, it's like 12,000 if you count my mortgage debt. You're like, okay. What's your secret? Like, there's no secret. But if I was worth 200 million, I'll just let you know I would refuse to pay for her LASIK surgery. So if you didn't catch that, you just look at me and you realize that I have a lot to offer a woman who's freakishly nearsighted. But at the same time, I'll come home and I'll feel inadequate, feel sad. Like, honey, why do you like me? And she says, oh, I just love it when we sit on the floor and play blocks with our little boys. No, honey, why do you like me? Valid question. So she says, all right, I'll let you know. I find it delicious when you roll up the sleeves of your business shirt and aggressively wash the dishes. Okay, nice closed dishes, got it. Anything else? Anything else? She says, well, it does give me the vapors when you park backwards. What does that even mean? Is that a euphemism? I don't understand. She says, no. I dig it when you park the car backwards into a parking space. And I almost asked the question, and I thought, you gotta use what you've got. So, honey, hold on to your hat. Because next time we're gonna parallel park. And she hit me. Don't talk like that in front of the kids. Sorry. She's actually not just beautiful, she's wonderful. If you have a birthday, she'll get you the perfect gift. If you have a bereavement in your family, a little card that, touches your soul. If you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, she'll give you a bottle of propofol without even asking any questions. A little card that says, you'll know when the time is right. Propofol is the one that Michael Jackson used. I think they call it a Jackson dive. Is that right, a Jackson dive? Anyway, point is, she's awesome at gift giving. And I, on the other hand, well, you have a better chance of me giving you a cold on your birthday than a lovely gift. But for her, I tried. And on her last birthday, I had to work 10-hour shifts for the whole week before her birthday. So what do? You commission your little sister. I said, Emily, go into the world and procure a gift worthy of a princess. Just keep it under $50. So she goes out, she comes back, and she has a necklace, a bracelet, and a gift certificate for a spa facial. Fantastic. Husband of the year. And so where'd you get this stuff? She says, Poison Ivy. You went to the woods? All right, calamine lotion's on the bottom shelf. We get the generic, it'll save about $4 for the bottle. She says, no. The new girly girl shop in town is called Poise and Ivy. It's at the old office supply store. That's awesome, because I love clever business names. There used to be one in Provo called, it was a consignment underwear store called Skidmark. You remember that one? I think the health department had to shut them down, if memory serves. But the employees couldn't keep the back end clean for some reason. Anyway, I love clever business names. Poise and Ivy, that's where I got the stuff. Fine. So at dinner, I gave my wife the gift, and she says, it's a cute necklace, but it means so much more that you took your time to go out and shop and find this gift for me. And I said, honey, you should know that it was my pleasure to go out and find this gift for you. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, oh great, I'm in a conspiracy now. I didn't want to do this ever. So she went to the other room later in the night, and I made the phone call. Like, hey, Emily, I bought the necklace. That's the story. She can never know the truth. And the thing is, it worked. For 6 months, I was husband of the year. And then I found a weak thread in my web of illusion. Me. Can they come in? You have to hear this story. I don't mind it. As long as we're not going to offend the fire marshal. That guy's a pinhead. All right. So 6 months, we were going for a walk one day. I was pushing the kids in the stroller and walking down the main street. It was Sunday, so in Mormonville, they roll up the sidewalks on Sunday. So everything's shut down. We're just walking. And my wife bends over and looks in the window of the store called Poise and Ivy. And she says, oh, it's so cute in there. I can't believe you've been there already and I haven't. And I'm sitting there just pushing the stroller, and I said, oh yeah, you know, I haven't been in there since it was an office supply shop. Do we have any chimichangas at the house? Totally go for a chimichanga, it's hot out here. And then we walked on. And she turns to me a few blocks later and says, so you didn't buy my necklace, do you know what that means? What? Oh. I don't know, I have to sleep on the couch for a week. And she says, no, I never have to wear that thing again. Thank you so much for telling me. You're welcome, baby. Happy birthday. Hey, my sister bought that necklace. What are you talking about? She said, oh, it's just not my favorite. Which is girly speak for she hates it. At least until she finds the right top. She'll never seen her wear it. And one more story about her real quick is she's never been cited for speeding. Not once. And it's not due to a lack of effort, because I've turned to her many times and said, honey, I don't think a leisurely drive to church should include power slides and fishtailing. But I've been wrong before. She was actually pulled up for doing 80 in a 55 mile per hour construction zone. And depending on the county where you live, that's punishable by death. Or they make you work in the tax collection department. It's bad either way. So they chat for like 3 hours on the side of the freeway, and at the end of that conversation, have a nice day, young lady. Keep it under 55 and no ticket for you. Now, that's great for my insurance premiums, but if I did that, the cop's eventually going to come to the window and say, Mr. Blackham, congratulations, you posted bail. We would have been here an hour ago, but we were talking to your wife out front. She's really nice. Thanks. Bail is what happens when you go to jail. And they pay to get you out. See how they, yeah, okay. You're fine. Thanks. I love you guys. You're fun. So we have 3 children. The fun part about that is we had them all before the oldest turned 3. That's 3 kids in 3 years. I know. Did someone grown? That's 3 kids in 3 years. In hockey, they call that a hat trick. That is, they reward you. But when you have kids at that high frequency, you learn some life lessons that other people might not learn. My first lesson was women are really excited when they learn they're first pregnant. For the most part. I'm sure there are the outliers where the pregnancy is due to some Jägermeister and some poor choices during spring break on an unforgettable weekend. You know, those happen, but most women very excited. My wife, pep rally excited. So that was an awesome lesson to learn. A few months later, we had my firstborn son, Zach, and everything was great. And then another life lesson came along. Some people still believe that if you are breastfeeding, you cannot become pregnant. This is bullcrap. Now, we didn't necessarily believe that old wives' tale, But it took us 3 years to get the first pregnancy, so we didn't work terribly hard to prevent that second one. So my wife comes out of the bathroom sobbing one day. I'm like, what's the matter? She's holding a pregnancy test. Oh! It's gonna be fine. We're gonna be broke. But it's gonna be fine. I should have brought water. So a few months later, my second born son Jordan came along, and everything was great. Oh. Oh, that's awesome. It's just like old plastic. So we've got our 2 boys, and everything's fine. And then another life lesson came along. My wife was taking the mini pill, and what it's called Camilla. It's a contraceptive. And what it allows you to do is breastfeed, so the hormone doesn't get in the baby, which is something we wanted. And the problem with Camilla is if you stop breastfeeding now, breastfeeding, we were married, so breastfeeding if you stop breastfeeding right now and you're on Camilla, by the time you go to church on Sunday from now, you are more fertile than the Octomom. We had to learn that the hard way. So, a few months later, my wife came from the bathroom again, holding 2 pregnancy tests. Both in the affirmative, and she spikes them in the garbage, points to the sky, and does the best Zool impression from Ghostbusters that I have ever heard.
Yes.
It better be a girl. I testify to you. The heavens shook. And we did in fact conceive and bear a female, which is good for you because on the night of our ultrasound, if the results were opposite of that, you would have turned on the news and the anchor would have said, "Beautiful young mother from central Utah strangled God today." It's very sad. Her attorney's going to argue it as a crime of passion. It's just one of those stories you hate to report on as a news anchor. In other news, the Jazz still suck balls. Ooh. They are bad. In musical terms, they swing like a bunch of square-white Mormons. Oh, we should call them the Utah Spads. Oh my goodness. At least they'll get a good draft pick next year. And that's just how anchors are, news people. So callous when they're talking about my Jazz. And we still love the ball team, oh, we really do. But there we are, my family of 5, and I am daddy. And so, it's my job. They put me in charge of people. So I have to teach them religion. Boys, where do we get the scriptures? From the library. You're right, go play. We'll be sitting in church, and I tell my kid, I let him play with electronics so the rest of us can enjoy the meeting. I know I'm a bad parent, but I'm getting better. And my son pushes an app, which kind of sort of has Motley Crue's song, what was that song? Girls Are Crazy. I forget the song, but it's just like, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, this is a new organ piece they've got going. This is kind of nice. And then I noticed what happened. I was like, boy, no sound in that game. So he dropped it and put his hand over his ears. We're going to need some government handout programs, I think, when we get over. And my daughter, she likes to play with the boys, and I have to slow her down. I say, honey, you're going to scar your pretty face. Don't play so rough. And she says, well, how can the boys get to have scars? Because I'm going to teach them how to make money. You got to decide. You want scars on your face, or you want to have to work a job? Huh? You're going to miss the best one. All right. So we're going to have a 5-minute intermission. I have a 2-minute story, and then I'll close. You'll have 5 minutes to go potty or do whatever. And then the improv team is going to come out. They're just working over their last couple of lines. They don't have them all memorized yet. That's kind of how it is. Sometimes when I come home, I don't know if it's going to be the best day or the worst day. I came home one day, and the kitchen was torn apart. And you got to start with the oldest. Zach, get in here. Yeah? What's the matter? This place is a mess. There are eggs strewn from you-know-where to breakfast. How did this happen? It was an accident. And then I stopped and I realized, I said, holy sheetrock, why is there a hole in the wall? He says, well, that was an accident. And then I see his little sister, and she's covered in yogurt and hair and feathers, and So I pick her up, I start spraying her off in the sink with a little thing, and my second-born son comes up and tugs on my trousers and says, Daddy, 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 just a minute, Jordan, I'm cleaning your sister, she's a mess. Daddy, 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 just a minute, boy, I'm cleaning your sister. Daddy, 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 what? I love you. I love you too, boy, but you almost died right then. And now thanks to your brother, we're going to be walking on eggshells all day. I don't think you guys appreciate... Hey, speaking of walking on eggshells, where's your mom? I found her sitting on the lid of the toilet, face in hands. And I said, hey, honey, how's your day? And she looked up at me. There is no honey, only Zubul. You're not pregnant, are you? She says, no. I'm good. I mean, tell me all about it. She goes, I think I need 5 of me. I thought that sometimes myself, I can start putting some names together. Ow! What? He goes, how can you say something like that? It was an accident. I'm really sorry. How about I go put my tuxedo on and start washing the dishes? And you can put the names list together. There was no breastfeeding that day, I promise. So, I'm done. Thanks. My name's Brett Blockham. You can follow me on Twitter or get the watered-down version on Facebook if you want. They'll be out in just a few minutes. Thank you so much. Make sure you clap for that.